racing up towards the furlong marker, and here comes Lester Piggott on Nyetimber. It's Shear on the far side, Lester Piggott on the near side of Nyetimber. Nyetimber coming and taking up from Shear and racing up towards the line. It's a miss for Lester Piggott. Nyetimber's gone clear.
Royal Academy, it's on reach to me toward the inside. Here's the wire. Head bobbing finish. Royal Academy does it, and the living legend out of retirement, 54-year-old Lester Piggott pulls off the upset here.
Hello and a very warm welcome. It is, of course, the annual Bar Stewards preview show for the Oaks and the Derby, our flagship classics. Although you wouldn't quite know that because the publicity has been rather lacking in certain circles this week. Of course, it's not Cheltenham, is it? So no one's bothered. But we are. This is a very special meeting for us with the title tracks just played there. Again, dedicated to the best Derby jockey of all history, Lester Piggott. Right, without further ado, I'll introduce who's joining me tonight to go through the complex issues of the ground, etc., and races, and give our best bets. It's John Lang, Nick Davis, and Andy Richmond. Good evening, chaps.
Good evening.
Bonjour.
Hello, everyone.
Let's get on with this and let's make it a show to remember, and hopefully we will provide insight and winners for you to back this coming weekend. Andy Richmond, I'm going to come to you first of all for your third best bet of the weekend.
We'll go with the race after the Derby, which has moved numerous times in terms of time this year. What is it this year? Is it 3:45? No, 3:30 this year. Jesus, it's all over the place. So we'll go to the race after the 4:15, the Northern Dancer Handicap over 1.5 miles. And I do like one of Rafe Ralph's here called Valvano. If it does go soft, I don't think we've got too many worries because it went on heavy on its debut. Ran a very good race last time out after 6 months off. For a 4-year-old, I thought he still looked a bit inexperienced, to be honest with you. But I'm not sure that Goodwood was really totally his cup of tea, which is a little bit worrying for Epsom. But I think this horse is a better. I think he could win a listed or a Group 3. Valvano. It was good to firm last time out, but he's got plenty of form with cut in the ground. So if we do get a deluge or Mr. Cooper Clark has sloshed it on too much, we should be okay. He ran a very good race last time out, 4th of 11 to Solari's Pass. Although he got beaten in the Zetland, I think the ground was a little bit too quick for him there that day. I thought he ran really well that day, and this could be for Rafe Ralph a decent one to kick off with. So Valvano would be my third best bet of the weekend.
Good stuff, mate. Any sort of minimum price? 9 or 2 each?
I wouldn't want to take less than 9 to 2, and I was hoping for some sort of 11 to 2, 6 to 1, if I'm being honest.
Right, okay, that's good stuff. Of course, Valvano, Rafe and Ralph partnership, which we were hoping, as Bar Stewards, can do the business in the big one, the Derby.
Well, I'm hoping he might be pissed by this race. So.
Absolutely, yeah. He'd be a good one for the Patreon members, and of course, all us at Bar Stewards on at big prices. We'll come on to that in a bit, but I know John and Jack have got some lovely fancy prices. So, yeah, it'll be good to see that bounce home in the Derby for Rafe and Ralph. Coming on to myself, it's tomorrow in the Woodcote. I like a bet in the Wood. I like the race. I don't know why. I don't know why would anyone like the Woodcote, really?
It's over quickly.
That's probably the reason, actually, and very keen on Eve Johnson-Houghton's Havana Hurricane. Bigger prices were available anti-post. I'm a bit disappointed to see it obviously trimmed rather markedly, but I still think there's juice in the prices. You can get around 3 to 100 to 30 with Bet365. I wouldn't want to be taking much shorter than 3 to 1, but I think this is a very, very good horse indeed. This is a good horse. Havana Gold is the sire. He just produced some decent 2-year-olds, and I was very impressed by this at Goodwood. Very, very impressed. Looks awesome. It's going to go on from that. And whilst the Appleby runner should be feared, the fact that Appleby's running it here and not Royal Ascot is a negative, because that tells me that this one anywhere near their first division of their best horses. He went off uneasy 11 to 2 for debut, so he wasn't even fancied. They had an odds-on shot in the race. So the fact that tells me that was kind of unexpected. I think that's if he was any good, they wouldn't be running here. They'd be going to Royal Ascot for sure. Havana Hurricane for me at around the 3 to 1 mark. John?
Well, you sprung that out on me out of nowhere there.
Yeah, I'm like that.
So my first selection is on Friday in the 1:30, and that is the formerly Michael Stout trains formal, now with Andrew Balding. There's a little bit of guesswork involved here, but back in the day, I once shagged a Chinese lass in the library in a power cut, and there was more guesswork involved in that. We can rock along with this.
Yeah.
She looked really promising the first 2 runs, and I thought she was a Guineas filly. She got an absolute walloping in the Rockfell when she was over the top, and
Yeah.
I sort of wrote her off for the Guineas, and I was a bit disappointed to see her in the Fred Darling in the spring, especially by the look of her as well. She hadn't come in her court at all. She looked as though she was wondering why the hell she was there. But she got a nice quiet ride off O'Sheen, stuck out on the wing. I wouldn't really have expected it to make much ground up and that. I'm assuming this little spell of nice weather we've had will have brought her on an absolute ton. I don't think this is a strong race, and I think she's a little bit of value against these.
Do you remember, John, when I said to you, I think it was after the debut, it was in between runs between the debut and when she ran at Leicester. I got some info, the good old Newmarket info machine, of somebody that witnessed the gallop firsthand, not just like passed on. She quickened past the lead horse of Stouts, whatever that was. Can't tell you what the lead horse of Stouts was last summer. But she quickened past that, an older horse, and beat it by 7.
Yeah.
There is and so now you can see why she did go off 7-4 to win a Group 2, because obviously they knew she was quite special. Obviously, the stable switchers have been doing all right, haven't they, from Stout? So even though Stout was a fantastic trait, and I'm not cribbing Stout, he's one of the all-time greats, but his last season might have been a bit of a struggle for him, given...
He was on fumes in his last year.
Yeah, so I think that's a very good choice, and we'll come on to that race in the previews. Nick, your third best bet, please.
We're going to the 4:35 at Epsom. Going through a few of these. The Admirable 2 tempting last time had everything in its favour, and now it's gone up to 101 with draw 9. Flight Plans got draw 11, which I don't like very much. Mersky would have been my selection on better ground, but I'm going with EBT's Guard, who's been running consistently apart from the second run this season. Last time, the form has been upheld by the second winning, and I just think he's going to be in the right position here, because I think a few of them will go forward. Flight Plan and 2 temps will have to go forward from their white draws, and I think this will suit this. I think it'll sit in about 3rd, 4th place and be in the right position. It handles cutting the ground as well, and I think he's I can't understand the drift. 15-2 now, and I think he's well priced in this race. I can see Bo Pedro winning well, and Mr. Professor's getting dangerous, but I think EBT's Guard's going to be in the right place tomorrow.
I think there's quite a bit of progression in him, in this lad. I know, like, he's on probably what some would regard as a ceiling now of 96 or 97. Like you see, I think this lad could still be on an upward curve, believe it or not. So I don't mind that at all, Nick. To 7.5 to 1, a nice choice to finish the round. Some good selections there. No favs are involved, which is good to see. So yeah, some nice prices. On to the second round. This is obviously get hots up now. Get your lucky 15s ready. There might be one in here that floats your boat. John, I'm going to come back to you quickly. What would be your second best bet of the weekend?
It's another one running tomorrow, actually, in the 3:15. And I think you're quite familiar with this one. This is Roger Vegetable's Defiance.
Yes.
At first glance, it looks a bit of an iffy selection, but I've actually had it in mind that this could be in for a really good season this season. When this started last year, I was rather disappointed at the look of the horse. I thought he hadn't really made up much over the winter and everything, and he still looked as though he wanted another winter to me. They started him in the Derby trial round here. He handled the track perfectly well, which I took as a plus for selecting him for this race. Then he ran at Lingfield, and they could not give this horse away that day. I think he was put in about 6-4 and touched 9-2, I believe.
Yeah.
The betting joy, there was absolutely zero chance of him winning that race at Lingfield, and he ran appallingly.
Yeah.
I was then more than astonished when the proceeded to go to Ascot with him, and I wasn't astonished that he got beat the thick end of a furlong behind Calandigan. And then thankfully they knocked it on the head, decided to put him away for a 4-year-old campaign. They've had him gelded already, so I'm assuming he has thickened up and got where they want him to be physically. To me, that's the key to this horse. He had the potential for me to run to 110, maybe even 115 last year, but he was never going to do it because he wasn't there physically. He's there physically now. I'm hoping, I'm as confident as I can be. They would have sold him or something otherwise. I cleared up assist with these. And he's starting his year off 99. I think this could be an absolute good thing round here.
Well,
starting his season off.
I'll let you into a little secret. This was my 3-pointer, right? I got it wrote down earlier in the week. The only reason I'm not, and I'm not including in my selections, and I'm not saying that this isn't a great bet, because put it this way, if I think it's a great bet in the Lingfield Derby trial, then I'm thinking it's a very, very good bet off 99 in a handicap. And this is only one statistical reason I've not gone with it. And I might be foolish. It's because Ravens Pass, damn sires, have a dreadful record. And Ravens Pass himself has a dreadful record as a sire on soft ground. So I was scared that the ground's going to get too muddy, too testing. Well, I would say to everyone out there, but then it still might win. He has withdrawn it on soft ground before, by the way. But what I would say is, if it's good to soft, I think it'd be perfectly fine. I don't think good to softs will be an issue.
Yeah, he won his maiden on good to soft.
He did. He might handle it fine. We're all guessing. But honestly, John, I think this could be a blot. He's got it entered at John Smith's. So he's clearly mapped out the pattern. He wants to probably take this, get a penalty for John Smith's. I think that's it. I think that's where I'm at. Defiance, yeah. All
It
the way at
was on my mind last year when it was running really badly in the last 2 races. I thought, provided he knocks it off soon and puts it away, I want to be with this next year because there's a lot of potential there.
On debut, I did the sectionals and stuff like that, and it come out at 90 with a huge plus on debut. That's some effort. I'm all for that. I'm really, and like I said, I'll be sick that I haven't gone 3 points on that one because all week I'd got it down as that's my 3 points for this week. So love your selection. Nick, your second best, please.
Yeah. 315 Epsom.
Yes.
1 point reverse forecast, Mechanical Defiance. Now,
Love it.
my reading of this is that the other one, Mutterhead here, it worked. The blinkers worked again last time. They worked first time last year. But he runs around an awful lot and is up £10 here. And I just think these two potentially so well ahead of the field. I mean, Botanical's been second in a John Smith's before. They've got tongue tied pieces 1 and Ryan Moore on, and Defiance for the way that Vegetables. Do you remember the horse he ran in this 4 years ago, John?
No, not off the top of my head.
Royal Champion off 97.
Oh, right, yeah.
So I'm having a point reverse forecast, those two. So I think, if they're about 4-1 each, that pays about 20-1. So that's 10-1 for your money.
Lovely jubbly, Nick.
Point
I know you love a forecast. Yeah, and George Bowie's runners, by the way, are just starting to come to themselves. I think George has had a quiet spring by his standards, and I do think his runners are starting to come to the boil now prior to Royal Ascot. I know they're very confident on believing at Royal Ascot. She's absolutely thriving. Of course, she's in foal to Frank, and she runs at Royal Ascot, obviously, in the big sprint. Andy Richmond, your second best, please.
Well, we have to have a go at a ridiculous sprint, which I thought Nick was going to have a go at, actually.
He still might.
He still might, actually, yeah.
Yeah.
He still might have the tri-cast in it.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, he does like that.
Don't spoil it. So we're going to the dash, the older dash, not the 3-year-old one. That would be quite ridiculous. Gerbat was a horse who has frustrated me and I hesitate to say delighted me over the years, but I really do think there's a good sprint in this horse, and it just doesn't get any luck. It's the sort of horse that probably you should back each way, although obviously I'm not going to back it each way. The 5th last time out at Chester, again, horrible draw, held up wide. That form's been franked. Copper Knight always runs well around there, ran well again next time out. You know, I know he's 11 now, but he always runs well. And the third was Balmoral Lady, who won the Achilles on Saturday, maybe helped by the stand-side draw bias. I couldn't believe that the people didn't take more notice of the stick readings across the track at Haydock on Saturday.
Yeah. Oh, no. Yeah.
As written
yeah.
up on Patreon.
Yes, we all seem to notice as a group. Nick posted it into me. He sent me a message that morning. You put it up in your column on the Saturday, so we all knew about it, but no one else did.
But it
hardly
got a mention on RTV either.
No.
Mind you, they completely missed one. I'm slightly digressive, but they missed one the other day. The run of Hickory in the last race at Sandhill on Brigadier Gerard Day. The thing got wiped out at the start, and nobody mentioned it. It's just it was as plain as the nose on your foot. I despair sometimes. Anyhow, slightly digressing there.
Yes.
Back to Gerbat, who I thought he ran some terrific races last year. Second at Doncaster, even the 12th at York was a really good run. Just got no run at all. If you go back and watch that Coral Sprint Trophy in October, he got absolutely no run at all. He ran well at Haydock the time before that. He's only £5 above his last winning mark. I think that form last week or last time out from Chester is absolutely, is going to be top class, that form. I think this a sharp 5 really suits him. Love to see him run again back at those flat tracks at York and places like that help him. I think the sprint downhill will help him. He's not got a great draw, but he'll need a bit of luck. But I do think he's a decent 2-point bet. Gerbat, I've got a feeling he's going to, if he doesn't win a big sprint handicap this year over 5, I'll be very, very surprised. He actually stays 6 as well, but and I suppose a little bit of a cherry on the top if it does go a bit soft, or there is a bit of give underfoot, he does at least go on that sort of ground.
Good stuff, mate. To finish the round off, Gerbat's about 7-1, 15-2 perk as we speak. So
probably get some extended places if you wanted to bottle out and do a bit of each way wankering on that.
Yeah, they always pay plenty.
It's the sort of horse who probably will do that to me, but keep the faith with him.
To finish the round, myself, I'm going for a 2-point win, all blogger style here, as normal, bringing balance to the force. I'm tipping a favourite. Docklands at 15-8. No idea why this is 15-8. I believe he's a better animal than Pasika, who's had some run of the races. I do respect Ryan around Epsom. Ryan is very tactically astute, but at least we haven't got Haley Turner to worry about on Docklands anymore. We've got the King's Court, and the Sardinian Warrior form is very strong because that horse was only just knocked off in France by the very smart Surrey. And I really do think Docklands will take this, especially receiving £3 from Pasika. I think that 15-8 becomes about 6-5 on the day. And I'm all over Docklands to bring in the bacon on Saturday as a banker bet. I think that's the race for him. He's got some very, very strong form as Docklands. So that's where I'm at to finish the round. Right, on to final bit of the best bets round. And of course, this is definitely where you're getting your lucky 15s out, and you should be, because these are our strongest choices of the weekend. Who do I come to first? I'll kick us off because I think we need to get off on the right foot here. I did initially have Defiance, as I said earlier to John, in terms of a 3-point selection, but I was just slightly worried by Cooper Clark splashing it on like Henry Cooper. They both called Cooper splash it all over. That was his. So my best bet is in the Derby, and it's Pride of Arras. I have absolutely no idea why this horse is the price it is, around 5-1, 11-2. It's as if the betting public are half writing it off. They're saying they can't have that Dante form. Yet the metrics, if you look into it, is very similar to Desert Crown in terms of the sort of timings, the splits. Just because it was a slowly run race, people are doubting the form. That doesn't interest me in the slightest. I think this is my gut was tingling after the race. When it does that, it means that this is a good animal, a very good animal. The doubts with the ground, obviously, ruling court by Justify. Is he going to want, if there is rain, is he going to want a soft ground derby? I don't think so, not over 12. Is it going to suit Delacroix that much? Testing ground derby? Again, I'm not so sure. He'd be fine. What makes me laugh about this is I've even heard some pundits in the media and stuff say, oh, it's terrible draw, stall 16. What an idiot. Idiots that say that the draw, it's 1.4 a at Epsom on pro form statistics since 1997. 12 furlongs at Epsom in all races, right? 15 runners or more. It's 1.4 a stalls 12 and above. So what does that tell you? It bends to the right, for God's sake. People just think you run up the hill and it's a left-handed track. Please, it's a sharp right-handed turn. The eye draws have got such an edge. I know Stole ones have won it before anyone says City of Troy, ADR, etc., but look, it doesn't matter. That's not a bad draw. Wide is not bad. It's not bad at all. By the time you get to the top of the hill, as long as you've got your position by then, and Ross Ryan is probably the second best rider in the game at the moment, behind Brian Moore. Pride of Arras for me, all the way. 3 points, 5-20 lump to 2. I'm so excited. I hope it does the business for anyone that's on this at big prices anti-post, as recommended on Patreon. Okay, who do I go to next? Andy, I'm coming to you.
Right, okay. So we're going to go for one for tomorrow. Or Sheen again, riding for Andrew Balding in the last race, the 1710, the Getting Out Stakes. Misinformation. Yes. I think she's got a smashing chance tomorrow. Really like this horse. Shaped really well on her return. At the Craven meeting, then followed up in a very good Class 2 handicap at Newmarket. Wasn't the biggest field, but that was a career best. But I thought she won with a bit in hand, to be honest with you. Some good form from last year. Has won round here at Epsom last year. So she certainly handles the track. There's no worries there. She's handled Chepstow as well, which is a little bit up and downy. Good form at Goodwood. Very, very consistent animal. Some of these are not as consistent as her. And I think Misinformation is a pretty decent bet tomorrow if you can get around 9 to 2, 5 to 1.
Actually, it's come down a bit, Andy.
Was it? Oh, yeah. Well, that was me running around.
I'm going to say you've obviously. Yeah. It's 4 to 1 with a 365.
Just about take that. I'm not sure I'd want to go any lower, and because you know what Epsom's like. Although she handles it, it'd be like pissing Dodgems coming up the home straight, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
It's like back in the short one at Goodwood, and you get jammed up on the rails and think, oh.
Yeah, she's got a nice pitching 5. It gives her options on that draw. I don't mind that bet at all.
I think she's a nice filly, and I think she's just consistent.
Agreed. Misinformation for Andy. Pride of Arras for me. Where is Nick Davis going?
Well, there's a klaxon here because I'm going for a Gerbat in Epsom.
Yeah, I said the brilliant. I like this, Nick. Go.
It's not working hardly bad at all behind American Affair, who's £11 higher, and JM Jungle's about £4 higher. Yet Gerbat is still on 92, and then you factor in the Chester run. If you get any more rain, I think it's great. I mean, because it usually opens up a bit on there. They usually go off fast, and then they come back, and as long as this gets a run through. I said last week this will win when the entries come out. It was 12 to 1. I didn't get that, fortunately, but I'm on at 9s. But I think this could be a 9 to 2 shot come the day.
Do you think it goes off Fav, Nick?
Yeah, I think it goes off Fav around about 9 to
2. So Patreon members tonight, you know what to do. If that 7 to 1's still there this evening after we record, hopefully you'll be able to get some of that and back up the confidence of both Andy and Nick in the dash. John, to finish the 3 pointers, where are you going? Because this is the drum roll. I'm sure you've got a good one.
It might be a good one. It's certainly food for thought, this one. And it's on Saturday, and it's in the 3-year-old dash of all things.
Wow.
Yeah, and
okay.
I'm hoping that by about 3:30 on Saturday, the owners and trainers buffet will have been well and truly raided. Gruesome twosome from Malton. who are sending a raiding party down in the shape of a horse called Acrisius, which I happen to think is a fairly talented beast, actually. I clocked this off last year, actually, and in all fairness, you take the debut out, this didn't run a bad race all year and was nicely progressive, as some of these our dads can be. The race that convinced me that this is ideal for here was the debut this year at Doncaster, where the cruising speed displayed here was something akin to a Lamborghini on acid. It was absolutely looked as though I was doing a half speed in front on the front end at Donny. Obviously, it was Donny, wasn't it? And he got nutted. And you're thinking, for fuck's sake, take him somewhere easy. And then, of course, they go to York, and he's trapped on the wing, and it's York, and I'm inclined to think it's one of them. They have that walk across the track, and they think, I don't like the fucking look of this. And he's run accordingly.
Yeah.
Now, they're freshening him back up. I think tomorrow, Saturday, is very much his day. We don't have a lot of stats for the 3-year-old dash. I think there's only been 2 thus far. A low draw is not disadvantageous in the big dash. We've had 4 or 5 single figures won it in the last 10 years. So I'm not concerned about the draw. Tom Keeley-Marshall takes the ride, getting us 5 off, for God's sake. I mean, he's nearly won at Donny off 73. He's running off a net 68 here. And half of these won't say which way he's fucking gone down that hill.
Why has Joe never sat on this?
Probably too fast for her. She probably screams like Jerry Halliwell. Scream if you want to go faster.
How have you plucked that song out of your head just like that? Scream if you want to go faster, baby. Yeah. Oh, good God. I don't know how you do this. Like, how you pick a song like that out of your head in like 2 seconds?
They're all there.
People think this is rehearsal. It's not. 16-1, John. Are you happy with that?
I'm highly delighted with that. I would make this a 5-1 poke.
Yeah. Okay,
I think the price in here is absolutely skew with.
There you go, folks. 16s. John says it's 5s. Again, Patreon members, if you've got the right accounts, you know what to do this evening. John's confidence quite infectious. Let's come on to the TV previews, because, of course, you're going to want to know what to back in the TV races, potentially. So, coming on to tomorrow, it's the Surrey Stakes to kick things off. We've already had a tip in this from our regular sermon presenter and chief trouble causer, John Lang, informal, which I completely concur with that. I don't understand what connections like Hamad Al-Jahani, Latham Racing, are doing, keeping Diego Ventura to 7 furlongs, John, especially a sharp one like this. Doesn't make any sense.
A lot of what they do doesn't make any sense.
It's just weird. Look, beat at Longchamp over 7. Yeah. I watched the France Gallup replay, and it came back near the line to just get up late. Well, I know what we'll do. We'll run it down an hill over 7. I just don't get it. And with a penalty.
Tickets.
2-1, that's crap. It's crap. Absolutely crap. I would say Hallasan, only thing with that, he's not very big, Hallasan, and I just wonder if he's trained on very much, which is why I would prefer John's selection 4 mil. Andy and Nick, any view on this?
I thought Hallasan would run better here. I mean, last time, the ground that Ascot that day, that was the quickest ground you'll see, or what you've seen this year. I think a couple of club records went those days. And he was coming back at them. I can see why they're running him here we're getting all the, getting weight off Diego. And I can see 7 furlongs an easiest ground suiting it here. That would be my main danger to yours.
Yes, Andy.
Can I give you a little stat? Because
of course. I do. So, I don't mind. I like good stats. Yeah.
Andrew Balding with Hoods first time, absolute rubbish. I tend to lay them habitually because since he's been training, Hood first time, 15 winners from 227 runners. That's a wax figure, winners above expected. In fact, this is below expected of nearly 10. If you'd have thought you'd have found the Holy Grail and backing Balding runners with a Hood on first time out, you'd have done 139 points.
Yes. And now Hood off, Andy. Yeah.
But, yes, this is where I'm coming to. Just wait for it.
Yep.
Hood on first time, no headgear next time. 10 from 48, wax figure of positive 4, and you would have won nearly 27 points.
There you go. John, the Force, it's like in Star Wars, the Force is with you. The stats are with you, John.
Yeah.
As well. Like
so don't be backing Balding horses with a Hood on first time out, because he ain't got a clue with it.
Yeah.
But when he takes it off them the next time, and there's no headgear, that's the time to get on.
Good stuff, Andy. We love a good start. 205 Epsom. I sound like Peter Norton now. After the captains just ram something down your throat in studio, and then they come to Peter Norton. We love a good start, don't we, Captain?
Having worked with both those gentlemen, I'm not going to say anything.
Yeah. There you go.
Peter Norton doesn't understand any stats, does he?
Well, I don't know.
He's the ethical edge, isn't he?
He's usually only sat down these days with Mark Howard.
Yeah.
Being lazy.
I never did a sit-down gig on the race course.
Actually, I'd love them gigs. That's my sort of gig. Yeah.
What, a sit-down in a deck?
Yeah.
In a deck chair. Yeah, but you'd want a Jeroboam, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
As per Haydock.
Oh, champagne on the side. Yeah, but if Racing TV ever employed me, I would only work with Mark Howard, and that'd be it. There you go.
Yeah, wouldn't you drag me along? Double that.
Yeah, me, you, Mark Howard.
Oh Jesus!
As a treble. Yeah, we'd talk all Ironside things.
Yeah.
Like
you certainly don't want the drunk geezer we met at York.
Oh, Tony!
Yeah.
He owns the old iClear one, didn't he? Yeah. To be honest, no, that'd make good TV to me.
Yeah. When was the last time you saw somebody go head first through 2 tables on racing TV?
Well, probably not. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
And then looked like they pissed themselves.
Yeah, I think
Tony
actually pissed himself, to be honest. But
Tony a disgrace to Highclere that day. But he obviously owns. Is it Approval Johnny owns? I think. Anyway, coming on to 205. Moved on swiftly there to the Woodcote. Maximise his favourite 6-4. I've tipped up the Eve Johnson Houghton horse. Any thoughts on this, chaps?
No.
I knew we were going to get one. I was waiting for a fillies race before we got that.
Well, that's the first on Saturday.
I would agree. I would agree with you. Actually, you've made a good case, and I agree with you.
John?
Yeah. Can we just give a big shout out to George Baker, debuting Trinculo and a track like this and a race like this? You big freaking idiot!
Tickets, John. Tickets. Chasemore Farm have got some clients coming over.
Yeah.
It's all about the clients these days, as you very well know. 240 Epsom. Coronation Cup time. Callandagan. Is this really 4-5?
Very suspicious, isn't it? I mean,
well, it's won on it.
Why would you put that in at 4 or 5? I'd put that in at. Maybe they know it's going to get another bad ride.
This is your blogger bet, isn't it? You know, if blogger attends on the Friday, this is the one where he's getting 5 large out, or he's skyrocketing, sticking it on to win 4 because it's more obvious.
No, he'll be doing one of them doubles, won't he? It'll be Callandagan and the favourite in the Oaks. That'll be one that there'll be the priced up lot will be pushing or boosting, and he'll be giving £100 away to some spack who backs it.
At 4-5, this is incredible value. I would have this about 1-2. But then, like you say, sometimes you do have to look at prices and think, well, why is it 4-5? It's obvious, you know, to every man and his dog that this should not be 4-5. Giavolotto doesn't want any cut in the ground, really, or too much cut in the ground, and wants ideally 1.6 miles is his perfect trip. Jan Bruegel just isn't as good. It doesn't matter. He's just not as good as.
Well, isn't the trip too short for Jan Bruegel?
I think he's all right at it, but he's just not
I
as
thought
good.
the track for Jan Bruegel wouldn't have been ideal.
Well, yeah.
It's quite heavy topped, Jan Bruegel, so it's one of them, but I suppose the ease in the ground will help him round there. Bellum, Justum, etc. They're not up to Callandagan. Jesus Christ. We're talking about a horse that, if you take the sectional times literally in the Juddmonte, I know people hate sectional times, a lot of people do, but it basically come out at 127 in the Juddmonte. No word of a lie, 127, that's massive. It's a seriously good horse. It was desperate in the Champion Stakes. It got a terrible ride in Maidan. How does that not just fucking win? It's 4-5. He's mustard. John, I need to bring you in here. Would you stand there on the track and offer 4-5? That?
No.
No, you'd be John Batten in middle.
Yeah. I'd fuck off after they started.
The right answer was you'd offer evens and then just fucking do a run.
Yes, yeah. No, there's an angle here. Jan Bruegel progressed enormously last year over the course of 4 runs, culminating in a Ledger win. I don't think we saw anything like the real Jan Bruegel first time up over 10, where they couldn't really give him away. He was as fat as butter. He looked as though he was in need of a fucking breathing toe out. It was that gross. And I think they've given him that as a desperation straightener at that stage of the year. They didn't need to run him in mid-April, but they have. We've got the best Epsom jockey currently riding.
Yes.
Against one of the biggest fucking idiots in Europe.
Yeah,
and
that's a better point.
And he's going to be sitting behind Giavoletto, Bellum Justum, Ancient Wisdom. And Ryan Mower's going to be tracking continuous into the straight. Continuous will pull wide, let him through. And he'll spot Jan Bruegel 11 lengths in that straight. Now, what price are you taking the favourite? 11 lengths down with 3 to go.
You see, what you've done there is, right, our parade has just like been driving down the street and you've just stood on top of a building and put down a golden shower on it, haven't you? I kind of get you, yeah. Only way Jan Bruegel beats Callandagan is tactical, but that is possible, very possible. So again, a different insight there, listeners.
Honestly, there's 10 jockeys riding in this country I'd rather seen on the favourite.
Fair point, well made.
I honestly feel this lad is a disaster waiting to happen. And the only other thing of interest in the race really is number 7, £4.8 million sterling. Let's have a look at how she gets on. Well done, Mr. Elliott. Nice bit of commission you got there.
That sounded like some out of Pirates at Caribbean.
Well, there's piracy going on, already.
350 Epsom is the race, the 10th handicap where Nick has had reverse forecast, Botanical and Defiance. John has tipped up Defiance, so we can put them on mute for now. Me and Andy, have we anything to add on this, Andy, in terms of what Nick and John have said?
Only because I was slightly worried about Botanical. Defiance was nearly a 3-pointer. So you'd have had a Fog-on, Claxon, or the whole shooting match there. And like you, I'm just a little bit worried about the ground. But full disclosure, I did back this Defiance earlier in the week at around 8 to 1 and 9 to 1.
Well, you've done well there.
I shall save on Botanical. There's one other interesting one in there, Lee, as well. The Irish horse. I'm not sure how you say it. Akacheta.
Akacheta.
Yeah, just keep an eye on that. It's quite an interesting horse. If you go back and watch its last couple of runs, I'd like to know what John think of them. Actually, maybe you can go and have a look at them later if he hasn't seen them. And I think there's a fair bit of promise in this horse. Trainer's not in the greatest of form at the moment, but I quite like the 6th of 18 last time out of the Curragh. And then it was 2nd of 15 the time before that as well. And running some very, very big fields. Just looks a little bit overpriced. Can be a bit slowly away, which didn't exactly fill me with joy. But it was just one of those I thought was a little bit interesting with Adam Farrah taking the ride. It's actually quite nicely in at the weight. So if you wanted one at a big price, I do not disagree with either John, yourself, or Nick.
You're not worried about Adam Farragher around Epsom then, Andy?
Adam Farragher's got to be a £7 penalty. He is shy.
Yeah, well, that would worry you. But I think for the future, keep an eye on Akacheta with maybe with somebody who could steer him round here a little bit better. But if you go and watch those 2 runs at the Curragh, I think you'll probably see quite a bit of...
Going on to tactics and punting tactics, Nick's gone for the reverse forecast because he rightfully points out, if you fancy 2 horses in a race, you're better off doing like a reverse forecast. Nick's hoping for a 10 to 1 payout on the forecast with the reverse. But then there's your short price punters that'll have a different view and maybe back both of them in a Dutch, Botanical and Defiance at 7 or 4 for the Raymond van Barneveld. Interesting tactics that people employ. Some people prefer the 7 to 4. Nick's more interested in the 10s because he thinks both will run out the skin. And why wouldn't you then do a forecast for 10s instead of 7 to 4?
Depends what suits you, doesn't it? I mean, if I fancy a couple of decent prices in a race, I'll often back and say I don't think the favourite I think is not one I want to back at the price, but I don't want to lay it at the price. I'd back the 2 bigger price ones and just back the favourite to basically cover the stakes.
Yeah.
That worked that works for me sometimes.
Yeah, what works for you is what works for you, and that's it. There's probably no right or wrong way, because if end of the day, if you're on value, it doesn't matter how you do it. It's just whether you want.
Well, it becomes the same, Lee, as there's value at 2s on, isn't there?
Oh, of course, yeah,
Fine.
yeah.
But if you don't feel comfortable doing it, I never feel. I very rarely bet below 2-1.
Well, that's it,
because it just doesn't suit me.
Exactly. There's some punters that will not back at odds on. It's in the system. I'm not taking odds on, and that's fair enough. But I put no restrictions on my betting whatsoever, whether it's 1,000 to 1 or whether it's 1 to 10. I've got no inhibitions. I agree, it's not for everyone.
That's your life in general, though, isn't it? No inhibitions.
Pretty much. Yeah. You've got me summed up, haven't you? 4 o'clock Epsom, of course, is the big Phillies classic. It's the hoax, the race that Nick hates. Not interested at all. I've come down, my spinner has come down on Mini Hawk in this, because so Ryan, well, I know he gets it wrong, but the fact he chose this one when the form isn't that great of the Chester race and what she's actually achieved in comparison to Whirl, etc. But he's rode Whirl every time.
The trouble is, Lee, this is a nicer ride, isn't it?
What do you mean?
Whirl has more angles than a mangled phone book. She's a horrible looking creature.
Yeah.
You know, it must be like sitting on a banged up commode that's been in a car accident. Giselle's an absolute twat for pulling.
Yeah, she just won't have a bar of it, will she?
Mini Hawk, you can more or less do what you want. She's a fairly conventional shape. I just think she's a nicer ride, and I think that's why it's gone for her. Well, I'm not sure she's the best of these, but
you know, when I mentioned the tingle earlier in me gut, the tingle went in me gut after the Chester Oaks. I felt she still looked inexperienced, but despite a tough trip where Ryan couldn't really do what he wanted, he had to race wide and they wouldn't let him in. And I don't know, I just liked her. I liked her sort of constitution. I liked the way she did it. Like I said, I have no idea in terms of level of form if she's good enough to be. I mean, we need to come on to the Fav as well. I mean, Desert Flower, we're talking a Guineas winner here and going up 4 furlongs in trip. What's everyone's opinion about her actually getting it?
I just don't even like their Guineas farm, to be honest, with them 2 yaks and sangsters.
Yeah.
I think this is awful value, win, lose, or draw. I mean, them 2 sangster horses got smashed sideways in Ireland.
Yeah, they did.
They nearly fucking beat her.
Yeah.
I just can't have her. Even last year, I could not take to this horse. And she kept proving me wrong, and I'm perfectly happy for her to prove me wrong again tomorrow. But I just can't have a bar of her at 6 to 4.
Well, Aidan O'Brien, this is something I don't know if it's been picked up on, but he's won 6 of the last 10 Oaks. And I've always admired O'Brien with his fillies, because it's as if he can run them and keep running them or whatever, and they just keep finding. They have heavy campaigns, some of them, and you think, God, this horse hasn't missed a dance, but they still fight like tigers. I think he's just got a knack with fillies.
Yeah, well, he put steel into them, didn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. So it'd be interesting to hear Andy and Nick if you've any opinions at all on the race yourselves. Or
this is my natural sort of state of affairs, being against something that's stepping up 4 furlongs. I mean, I think she only won the Newmarket because the second was racing so far away from her.
Yeah,
up 4 furlongs, 13 to 8. I may have a forecast on Mini Hawk Giselle, just for a bit of you know. I think she's a Desert Flyer type. I can't see her finishing second. She either wins, she is good and she does win, or
she's about first layer material, Nick. Surely.
Pardon?
She's first layer material, surely.
Yeah, that's what I think. Not a win lay, a place lay. Yeah.
Yeah, Andy?
I concur with that. I would have thought that the way to go is obviously a place lay on Desert Flower. I don't like horses stepping up that far unless they've got. I mean, you can see it. She's out of a half sister to a smart stayer, but there's not masses of stamina in the pedigree. I must admit, I like the three O'Brien fillies. I get what John says about Whirl, that she's not the most attractive, but that form of the Musadora stands up. Giselle, I think, is overpriced. And Mini Hawk, form's not that great, but you have to respect that Ryan Moore's taken the ride and he is the best rider around here. Really like any of the others. For want of having a bet in the race, I'd probably Dutch the 3 O'Brien ones.
I mean,
maybe just have a combination forecast as well.
Wouldn't you say if Mini Hawk's about even money to place, you just have the fucking lot on it?
Yeah, well, I suppose, if you can get an each way bet on, I suppose you can.
Well, I'd say just even in the place market, just...
It's not well formed at the moment, so you don't really know. But if you could, I mean, she'll stay. Yeah, it's not. I'm a bit like sort of Nick here, that I'm not really. It's not really my favourite race. Let's put it that way.
Quentin says he's been on Go Boots at a massive price. Will appreciate the ease of the ground. This is what she wants. Obviously, John Gosden, Oshie Murphy in a dodgy Oaks year where we're sort of struggling for a class act or a real class act. Should that be the price it is? What is it? What we're looking at? 66s, 50?
60, 65 is at the moment.
There you go. Should that be 66s or 50s? Trained by what is Claire Haven, the master of winning classics. Well, Oaks anyway. I can't see that being 66s on the day. I think in a race where people are going to look for value, I think Desert Flowers the drifter. I'll be honest. I don't see that being 13.08. I don't think no one wants a bar of that. So
if it pissed down, it definitely would, wouldn't it?
Yeah. So Go Boots. Quentin says the ease in the ground will swing around the form, get a lot closer to Whirl in terms of the Musidora form. Right, on to the 4:35, the final race on Saturday. I've got absolutely no opinion here on this. Nick's gone for EBT's Guard. So John and Andy fight this one out.
I liked the way Flight Plan won last time out, but that draw puts me off. Can see Nick's case for EBT's Guard. Mursky, I liked his win last time out, but again, I'm not sure about the drawing one. Might get trapped away down the inside. Wasn't a race I was particularly going to have a bet.
Cool, John.
I respect Nick's opinion with EBT's Guard. I don't think I want to be back in anything shown by Laura Lenardi at 11-2, so I'll be swearing at her.
Such a way of words. Right, it's on to Saturday then. So we've got 5 TV races for you on Saturday, starting with the Princess Elizabeth Stakes, Group 3 for fillies and mares, just Nick's cup of tea, really.
I'd rather spend time at the dentist than a 6-1 the field. Princess Elizabeth Oldham mares race. And that's the last thing I'll say.
Do you know what? I agree with you. I like Skellet from last year, and all I'm going to say is Serona is a favourite sort of mare of mine. I think she's the type that progresses with age and probably is in for another good season for Sergeant Wilson. And obviously Brian Moore is booked, so probably Serona. That's a gin and pate race and a £10 win just to chuck away, just to watch the race. John?
Ali Saeed must be an absolute wanker.
Go on.
Because Imperial Quarter, if he didn't run her this year and got her in fall, he'd have a yearling worth 500,000. He's not going to win 500,000 with her this year. She might go close here, though, because last year was a bit of a mishmash of a season for her. And she's always had what I thought was a bit of latent talent. So I can see her running well.
You've always liked this because you've got 4 notes on this.
Yeah.
And I know when he likes one because he keeps fucking making notes on it. And that's why he's plump for that at 33s. So John likes this one as a type. But maybe vegetables, 33s, big price there, John, Imperial Quarter. Andy?
A bit like you, really. It's a sort of gin and pate, whatever your poison is, probably a cup of tea for me at the moment. But
you'll live longer than me.
Dress, Royal Dress. She was a bit unlucky in this race last year. Ran pretty well last time out behind an impressive winner in See the Fire, and that Middleton. That would be the one I'd go for. But again, it's a throwaway tenner, nothing.
I'm on smoothies at the minute, Andy.
Are you?
Yeah.
John's finally found smoothies.
I made this fantastic one last night. It was a tin of pineapple rings, some frozen raspberries, a tin of coconut milk, and about a third of a pint of cherry vanilla rum.
Most people.
What steak with a pan in?
You don't use a pan, Nick. You get straight into your bullet and buzzers,
You bullet, yeah.
and there it is.
We always do cooking on bastards lately and things like that.
Because we're all fat bastards, that's why.
Yeah, well, it's true. We've no else to be bothered
most.
about these days. Can't chase women at our age. Right, 135 at Epsom.
It's a short chase.
Producer gave me a real stare there. You know the one where you the pattern. So I'm in trouble now.
The one where you're getting no
Emirate.
tea.
Yeah, it's one of them.
She still resents the fact you caught her, Lee.
I know. Yeah.
If it hadn't been for that leg injury, who knows?
135 Epsom, the Diomed Group 3. I've already tipped up Dockland's tremendous price. I'd like to hear your views on it. Nick, I'm going to come to you first because these are older horses. You like to look at the older horse races. Any view?
One I thought could run a race at a really big price if we get a lot of rain. It's a right in and out animal, Ice Max. I thought if we get a lot of rain here, it's quirky. It goes to a lot of places. Like Goodwood, it absolutely sluiced up and beat Poker Face when it won there last year. And I thought if you get a lot of rain, have a little saver on Ice Max.
Fair enough. It's a decent price. They're about 16 to 1. A big drift on Ice Max as well. So Nick likes that one. John?
Yeah, Docklands and Pisses.
Andy?
No. I mean, Docklands is the obvious one with a massive jockey upgrade, isn't it? I mean, it couldn't be anything else. You could have put a fucking rag doll on it. It'd have been a jockey upgrade.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Ice Max, yeah, quite interesting. I was just looking at the form of that when Nick mentioned it. Yeah, won easily in a Group 2 at Goodwood last year. Ran in some, Group 2s, Group 1 they ran it in. And they ran it in the Queen Elizabeth last year. And it's run in must have run in the Brigadier Gerard this year.
Yeah.
No, Bet365 Mile. So, yeah, if it came up, it's one of those you want to wait and see if you get a downpour, then pile on. At least you'll be able to trade it.
And Nick loves the price, and he does make some good cases at long odds, and so that for you long odds punters, you might want to look at Ice Max.
I mean, you look at its soft ground form. It won handicaps at Bath and Musselburgh of 89.97 in heavy and good to soft.
Yeah,
it's won at Catterick in the soft. It's won at Goodwood in the soft. Certainly goes on with a bit of cut in the ground.
Good shout, Nick. Nice long odds there. 210, the 3-year-old dash, which, like John, has absolutely surprised me ridiculously. If someone had said that John's best bet would be in the 3-year-old dash, I'd have said bollocks, like Roger Melly on the telly. Yeah,
especially with the cake thieves.
Yes, I know. Yeah, he's even siding with the ones he doesn't want to win. Like,
I call them what I call them? The buffet burglars.
Yeah, they absolutely are.
Yeah.
This is a race that I found it's not my cup of tea. Nick, is it your cup of tea?
I quite fancy Cape Sovereign.
Okay, go on, make the case.
I thought his action would suit a little bit of cut in the ground. I think he just lacked pace behind the man at York. He's drawn pretty well. One thing I will say is the draw here is if it really, really chucks it down, that's when the draw comes more into play. Because if you look at the Dash's record, all the ones won there from 1 and 2 were on good to firm. Like Caspian Prince and Desert Cop, when they won the Dash, it was on really fast ground. So if it's really, really lashing it down, I'd really sort of think twice about having too much on something drawn low, unless you're sort of going to be held up and then coming through with a thing. But that's just my opinion on the draw there.
Yeah. Anthony Britton with Blinky, stall 17, doing the business to sicken everyone off. Yeah. Yeah, Anthony Britton. Who'd have thought? He's only 10 to 1 for the dash as well. 3-year-old dash. Andy, any of you on
no,
this?
I think me and Nick are on the same page. You better do an each way double between these two. Nick, Cape Sovereign was one I liked because I almost put him in BTB when I picked Loom out of the race behind the man.
Yeah.
At York a few weeks ago when he ran 4th there. Ran a very eye-catching race there with the Brazilian on. And I thought that form's been reasonably well franked since. The 5th has won since. I thought Loom ran well against older horses the other day. and he's got a nice high draw. Cape Sovereign would be the one that I would take a little look at.
Good stuff. We move on to the 245, and this is the proper dash, which, of course, we have already seen a klaxon between Andy and Nick on Jabat, Oshie Murphy and David and Nicola Barron. And around the 7-1 mark, that'd be a nice klaxon for us to land. These aren't my sort of races, John, at all. I tend not to punt in sprints very often, if I can help it. John, thoughts?
Unfortunately for Andy and Nick, I've come down in favour of Jabat.
Wow. Sort of an half foghorn.
Well, it's not unfortunate, is
It's
it?
an half foghorn then, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I just think this is going to be in the perfect track position. I think that the right amount of pace is in front of him and maybe slightly to the left. He's going to have options which way to go. And out of the hold-up type rides that we're going to see in this race, we've got by far the coolest jockey on board. There's some absolute fucking plebs riding these other older horses.
330 Epsom. Appears there that Jabat, by the way, is probably the strongest selection of the show on consensus. I get the feeling Jabat. Was your man on? Let's hope your man was on.
We need. I think we need Chris to do his impersonation.
Yeah, I can't match Chris.
You're a man. You're a man, that's not.
330 Epsom, of course, is the flagship race of our season, really. It should be made more of. Terrible publicity, in my view, this week. But we are where we are. 330 is, of course, the Derby. Delacroix heads the market. Well, joint favourites is ruling court at the moment. And Pride of Arras seems quite weak, as mentioned by myself. And I've tipped that up as a strong win bet. I think this horse is the real deal and will win the Derby. So I'd like to get other views. Nick, I'm going to come to you first for your own view on the Derby.
If the ground's good or good to soft, I probably will have Pride of Arras Demesis forecast. If it comes down and it's really, really soft, I'll probably leave the race alone. Every trial virtually this year is taking place on decent ground. If it has come up a month, then you're guessing, really. You think some will go, you don't know. So it's a guess.
Yeah.
But on decent enough ground, I'll have that Dante forecast, because I believe if you think you're right about a race, be right about the whole race. You know my line of attack. But
I do, and it's worked. You have a successful past of doing this. So, yeah.
If it comes up with mud bath, I might have a bet. I've got better ones later on in the day.
There you go. Right, so that's Nick's opinion on the Derby. Andy, your opinion on the Derby?
Well, you know where I am, because I'm in with the
anti-purse,
the number one Chelsea supporter. So,
yes.
Who's completed? So they tell me completed Europe. Not sure I'd want to win the European Conference League or whatever it is.
Whoa! We were the first.
I forgot you were there as well. Yeah, okay. I'll give you that. But he's off sunning himself somewhere, isn't he? Yeah, I hope it wins for Jack. I did burgle a bit of 80 on Betfair on the exchange to small money, 66 and 50. So I don't really want to back anything else in the race. Like Nick, I do rate the Dante form. So if I'm going to have another bet in the race, it would be Demesis. And the fascinating one for me is Midak. Of course, would be a poignant winner with the name named after the late great Aga Khan this year.
Yeah,
he's the sort of fascinating one for me. I might just have a couple of quid on him. But Pride of Arras, hope it wins for Jack and he can stay out in Italy for another month. Then.
Yeah, Midak's interesting for the supplement. Obviously, it's probably like quite a telling supplement that it's going to probably run well. Job
tickets.
Am I right? You've had some 66s, John, as well?
I have.
On Pride of Arras?
Yeah. I have. If I hadn't had 66s, I would be having a very, very large bet on this at 9-2.
Yeah.
I think this is the only potential genuine tip-top Group 1 horse in the race. I was hugely impressed with how he went through that gap at the Dante on only the second run of his life. Put the Dante to bed in a matter of strides. He'll handle the track no problem. He's by New Bay. So if it rains, Peter's worried about going through the ground. This thing would run through that radiation that killed Mr. Spock in Star Trek.
The Wrath of Khan.
Yeah.
The Wrath of what a movie. Yeah. Brilliant, that.
Apart from a traffic issue, I have no issues at all with this horse. I honestly think you're betting on traffic.
Yeah, we're so confident. And we're going to end this show right there. Like Pride of Arras, we're all absolutely championing this. We've done it on Patreon. We're championing it on the day. We're still playing on the day. 11-2, 5-1, 9-2. We're betting it. We're betting it, chaps. I don't care about the weakness. No one's bothered. Just have more on. And also, Jabat would also be a very confident selection in terms of the klaxon and what John feels about the horse as well. What a show. I hope you enjoyed it, chaps, and we'll be back next year doing the same, as well as other previews. We'll be back for Royal Ascot. We've got 2 previews that week during Royal Ascot, so don't forget to join us for that. And sign up for Patreon. You get it the night before the Masters. That's all from us. Bye for now.